everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Next Fix. And today's episode is slightly different. We've got Robert Hunt. He's the accountability guy. And anybody that has gained any traction in sobriety or recovery or been in programs, anything like that, accountability is a massive topic. So I feel honored to have an expert in the arena of accountability. So I'd like to welcome today Robert Hunt. Robert, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Yeah, you look great. You look great. Despite him telling me before we hit record that a sprinkler got a hold of him and he was just recently doused. But you know, here he is,
cooler,
looking good. Yeah, right. Cool you off. I mean, hell, it's at the time of this recording, it's August. So
yeah,
you know, hey,
104 today.
Woo. Yeah, man. It's starting to get in those scary temperatures, man. Yeah. So now that we've knocked down weather, wow. No, let's get into the meat of this thing, man. Robert, you know, explain to us a little bit about your familiarity with substance abuse, or what you have seen or observed.
Sure. As
far as you know, people in recovery or substance abuse or addiction, anything like that. And then right after that, we want to hit on how accountability applies to all of that, which I think, you know, like you could really help us out with that, man. So fire away. Let us know what your observation has been.
Well, I don't know anyone who hasn't had some kind of connection with addictions in their life through someone they know or someone they're connected to. And for a living, I run groups for business owners and CEOs, and we meet every month and we work on our business and our personal and professional life and the challenges of that. But in my journey of watching my family and the people around me and people at my church, people in my neighborhood, everyone's got some kind of struggle. But I've seen a lot of addiction, and I've seen it break apart marriages. I've seen it cause problems for people to lose their job. And a lot of the things that we put in the book were this desire to free people up from the mindset of being a victim. I don't think
Robert, hold on. Tell us the name of the book, man. We skipped right over this.
Oh,
very important, man. Like, what's the title of the book that we're referencing?
Nobody Cares Until You Do. And it's about
Nobody Cares Until You Do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We it's kind of a ballsy in-your-face title. It's because we wanted to really get people's attention. And really at the heart of it is that, you know, I know your life is hard. I know you have these problems. I know this is an issue. But at the end of the day, nobody cares until you do. And when you care enough to do something about it, then you have the power to change anything. We say when you take accountability for everything in your life, you gain the authority and the power to change anything in your life. But when you remain as a victim and everything happens to you, then you have no power. And so if people aren't aware of the times they play a victim, well, my boss is a jerk. Well, my spouse is difficult. Well, the economy is tough. And there are things that are out there and they're real. But if you want to give it authority over you and be a victim by it, that's your choice. That's different than being victimized. You know, when I was a kid, It was pretty commonplace that the parents beat their kids. But my dad beat my mom. And we grew up in that environment where that was just what you got. If you came to school with the mark on your face, what did you say to your dad? And it wasn't like, you know, oh, this horror of someone beating him. It was horrible, but it was very common. And so I grew up with this mindset of fear and uncomfortableness in my life. So I was victimized, but I didn't want to stay a victim. And when I got older and I had kids, I knew, well, I know I'm not going to beat them, but that left a whole lot else that I didn't know what to do. But either way, I had to own it because I had kids and I got to figure it out. So life is full of challenges. Life is hard. But at the end of the day, you decide, do I want to stay a victim or do I want to own it and find a solution?
Right. And so, you know, that immediately it strikes a chord because I know, or I believe wholeheartedly that when you give an excuse or you have an oppressor or anything, and now there's so many varying levels of this, right? And it's like there's many people that are objectively, undoubtedly oppressed or victimized, as you put it, right? And that doesn't change. I think what we're addressing here is that, like, you're giving that oppressor or that bully or that whatever it may be, you're giving them the power
Right.
You're like, right, am I right?
Yeah.
Like you by accepting the victimized, like, okay, well, I'm being victimized. I guess I'm the victim and nothing's going to change until that stops. Well, then now you've given all the power that you could have, you've given it all away. And I think that's why it strikes a chord to me, because it makes me think to like, how many times in my life I've given the power to something that's outside of me that I don't have much of a choice to control or affect or change. And so it's like, yeah, I think what you're getting at is like, it's inside of us. Am I right?
Well, the things that come at us are outside of us, but how we respond to it is inside of us. We talk about, you can't control what other people do, but you can control how you respond to it. And really, life is 10% about what happens to you and 90% of how you respond to it. And so when I look at the troubles that I have and I look at my problems, I have two choices. One is to go, hey, this wasn't right. Hey, this isn't fair. And I can become angry and bitter and give up. Or I can say, well, that was a bummer. And so now what am I going to do? And that's why we keep going back to this point. Nobody cares. And it's not what you say to other people. I don't want people walking around being jerks to other people. But I want you to say to yourself when you're about to go, well, I deserve this because my boss was a jerk. I'll steal from the company, or, my wife's not giving me the attention I want. I think I'll go talk to that lady I met at the bar the other night. You have the choice to do whatever you want, but you can't blame it on someone else because they didn't do something for you or they did something to you. That is true. It did happen. But how do you respond to it decides whether you play the victim role or not.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's, and I see what you're saying about the title. It's a little in your face.
Yeah.
And you can see here my finger. That's my book. It's called Man Up, Sober Up. A little in your face, a little aggressive. Some people like refer to it being like a challenge, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But nobody cares, and not to. So how would you explain it in a way that, like, say, the audience couldn't misconstrue? Like, how would you kind of like, in the subtitle, if you will, like, expand on the idea of the title?
Well, in the subtitle, it talks about pressing past the lies that hold us back as a victim. And the idea is that in our story, Kathy and I owed $90,000 in debt, but it didn't include our house and didn't include our cars. But we were really overwhelmed by this debt. And every year we kept thinking, hey, it'll get better. Next year, the business will grow. Next year, this and that. And everything that the book outlines, we did. The first thing we had problems is we blame. And then if the blame doesn't work, we make excuses. And if the excuse doesn't work, then we just say, well, I just can't. And if that doesn't work, then we just wait and hope that somehow it gets better. But at some point you say to yourself, doggone it, nobody cares whether I'm fat, miserable, broke, out of a job, no relationship, unhappy. Nobody cares unless I care enough to do something first. And then everyone came around us and cared for us and supported us. But we had to have the catalyst first. We don't tell people we have problems because it's embarrassing. So we bury them and we keep being stuck in that victim mindset and we get no help. But when you own it and when you say, this is my problem, I'm going to do something about it, there are people around you who will come alongside you and support you and help you. And we found that in our story, absolutely. So the title is a little bit abrasive, but we want to get people's attention so that they take it seriously and go, stop whining, stop making excuses, stop pushing blame, own it, and do something about it.
Right. And so about the book, man, so when did it get published?
2022. Just a couple years ago.
And how did did it feel like that book was just itching to get out of you, or was it like, what's the process? Did it flow out of you? And I asked that, it's kind of a loaded question because I felt like when I was writing my book, which is, it's part memoir, so it kind of wanted to get out. What was that process like for you?
Yeah, Salem Thine is a co-author of the book with me, and he had showed me this accountability ladder that talks about the steps of accountability, moving from blame to excuses, to saying I can't, to wait and hope, and then, hey, nobody cares, and then you own it and you make a plan and you go on. He showed me this accountability ladder years ago, and I was teaching it to my clients and their employees. And then 2019 came along, and Kathy and I were in this bad spot, and we needed to change our lives, so we did, and we did that in 2020. And then so I saw the story and the power of this principle, and like anything in accountability, if you realize that you're not going to get something done, you got to change the way it works. And so we hired a publisher and we paid him a lot of money to write this book. I have to sell 50,000 copies of this book just to break even. So it's never going to come back. But we really felt that people lost the art of accountability. If you remember those years after Trump was in office and COVID, everybody hated everyone. Everyone blamed everyone. You wear a mask, I hate you. You don't wear a mask, I hate you. It was this weird time in our world, and nobody was owning anything. It was the government's fault. It was COVID's fault. All these things. And so we just really felt that we just need to stir up this reminder again of what true accountability looks like, because accountability is not supposed to be a punitive term. It's supposed to be an empowering term. It gives you freedom. It gives you joy. It gives you peace. But that only happens when you're accountable.
Right. I would consider it as a health marker, right? It's a nice health marker if you're accountable for your actions. And that being said, one real quick caveat: if people think like you're making a lot of money making a book, like I'm definitely in the red on my book, and I've actually had people say, "Oh, you're just trying to make money on your book." I'm like, not really. It was like I could tell you that the $15 book, like it's not like I didn't do it because I'm raking it in, but it's still worth it. Don't get me wrong, man. I cherish the process, but if you're not selling millions, it's not what you would think. And as far
I
as
don't
like
give away copies of my book very often because it's not because it costs me money. It's because I don't want to give you a copy if you're not going to read it. If you're going to read it, then buy it and pay for it out of your own pocket. And then once you pay for it, you're more likely to read it. If someone gives you a book, you're like, I'll get to it when I get to it. But if you went and bought it, you thought about it enough to put money to it, you're more likely to read it.
Oh yeah, 100%. But that was my brief caveat. But then back to accountability and being like a health marker, especially for this audience. I'll share real quickly about. It was a very pivotal time in my recovery journey when I made the conscious effort to be accountable. And so, what did that look like? I was in and out of these Baker Act situations in Florida. It was basically if you're a threat to yourself or others, they kind of put you in a mental hospital, 72-hour hold. This happened to me several times. And so I'm thinking every time I go in there, I'm like, damn, I don't want it to be the same. I don't want to get out of here and then end up back here a month or 3 weeks or 2 weeks later. Like what am I going to do? And it wasn't until I figured out a plan for accountability did things actually change. Nice. And this is what it looked like. I got out of the 72-hour hold, and here I am at a crossroads again. I could walk to the liquor store, figure out a way to get more booze, or I could implement the plan that I had come up with and try to get some traction here. So what did I do? I called my cousin, who I've already wronged, by the way. My cousin, I had already lived with her. I had already wronged her. I was not necessarily welcome. But this time I had a plan. And it was all accountability, the whole damn thing. So I got a breathalyzer. I gave her a breathalyzer. I said, you breathalyze me every day. If I pop, I'm out of here. That's it. Deal's done. If I blow in this thing and I pop, I'm out of here. Well, huge accountability there, right? And then we put in some other things. Like I had to go to an AA meeting once a week. I had to go to therapy once a week. There was some, it was a plan. But the whole common denominator, the whole thing that held the plan together and what made it work was I willfully held myself accountable. Like you can be held accountable by the law or the judge or the court or your wife or a lot of things. But when you willfully put yourself into a situation of accountability, it changed the game for me.
Let me add a little clarity to that statement you just made right there. No one can hold anyone accountable. But only you can hold yourself accountable if you want to. Because you say the judge can hold you accountable. No, you could not show up at court. You could violate the terms of your probation. Right. You could go to AA to be accountable, and you could lie to them. Yeah, I haven't had anything to drink in a long time, but you did. You could say you're going to have a breathalyzer, and you could just break it, or you could not take the test and just keep avoiding her. No one can make anyone do anything they don't want to do. But if you want true accountability, you have to be vulnerable. You have to invite people into your life and be real We always talk about it in our CEO meetings. You're never going to get any better if you don't tell that you're having problems with cash flow and employees and planning. If you don't be honest about stuff, how can the group help you? And so when you go to whatever process you're going to do to create a place of accountability, just know you being in a group with someone else doesn't make you accountable. It is the opportunity to have accountability if you want to be vulnerable. But if you don't and you want to lie, it doesn't work.
Right. And I think that's what it was that time. Because again, you nailed it. Like, there was no doubt plenty of judges and doctors, any kind of a figure that was giving me either commands or advice or whatever it is, and it faltered because I wasn't willfully a part of it. I was being, there was consequences, like you said, like there's consequences if you don't show up for court.
Yeah,
that's the truth. But even then, you still you may not be held accountable like it's intended to do, because you don't want it. You're fighting against it. You're not willfully a part of it.
Yeah, the punishment is you don't show up, we're going to do this, and you show up, and they go, well, we'll give you one more chance. I mean, there's always these kind of things that go on, and the difference between responsibility and accountability is responsibility is you did something, accountability is you own the outcome. And a lot of times we're doing something.
Wait. Say that again, Robert.
That was really nice. Responsibility and accountability. Responsibility is you did something. Accountability is you own the outcome. Because when I show up to work, I'm responsible. But if I show up to work and I goof off and I don't pay attention and I do crappy work, I'm not accountable for my job. I just showed up. And a lot of times we pat ourselves on the back because we did something. I went to AA. I'm responsible. But did I listen? Was I honest? Was I truly listening to people and helping them care for me? Was I doing it with a heart that wants to get better, or did I punch the clock to get out of there and go do something else? So again, back to that principle, no one can make you be accountable. Sometimes they can make you be responsible. Well, I'll send you to jail if you don't go, or I'll drag you there. But it still doesn't create the world of accountability that we need to really see change.
Right. So I'm curious as to how, like if I'm a CEO. I mean, I'm in your group. How do you approach it? Do you start to do like maybe an audit of like their transparency in an organization? Like, what does that look like? Say I'm a CEO and I need help, and you believe that I haven't been accountable for my business. Like, what does that look like?
We did the same thing in the book that we do in our CEO group meetings. We give you the opportunity to declare where you're at so the group can help you. And so in the beginning of the book, there's a satisfaction assessment, and it's 2 wheels, little pies, and you fill it out. How satisfied are you in each of these areas? And then once you've declared how satisfied you are, then the group can come alongside and help you. Hey, I don't like cash flow. Hey, my customer service is horrible. Hey, our product offering is not what I want it to be. Okay, well, let's work on it. When you're honest about it, then we can help you. And so the same thing's in the book. When you read the book, there's a satisfaction assessment, and you look at your life and go, I don't like this. I don't like the way my marriage is. I don't like the way my kids are. I don't like my faith. I've lost my faith in all this. And you declare it. Then the question is, okay, now what are you going to do about it? And then you surround yourself with people who will support you as you make a plan. But you avoid the blame, the excuse to say I can't, and the wait and hope anymore. And you say nobody cares. And you start a plan to go do something about it based on what you scored. And it's all up to you. We don't tell each other what to do. That'd be ridiculous. Everyone's got their own journey. Right. But if you ask, what do you like? What do you not like? What do you want to do about it? Then we support.
Nice. I like that a lot.
If anybody wants to go onto our website, even if they don't buy the book, they can still take the satisfaction assessment, and it's free. Okay. You don't have to give me your personal information. Just do it. You can see and download a PDF right from that. And you can declare to yourself, this is my personal and professional life. Here's what I think about it. And then go do something about it.
Right. And so the framework, now you explained the ladder. Could you go over that one more time so it's fresh in my mind, that the framework, the ladder?
So when we finally figure out we're accountable for something, the first thing we do is blame. Then we make an excuse. Then we say we can't. And then we wait and hope. And it's at some point you look at those things and go, these aren't working for me. I'm not having the life I want. So I'm going to declare to myself, wait, nobody cares until I do. So what am I willing to do? Then the next rung is to acknowledge reality. All right, this is reality. I've got a problem. In our case, we had $90,000 in debt. And the reality is we had a house that had equity in it. and we could sell that house and start over, because we were living in a prison of our own debt. We were fighting. It was miserable. I was angry at God. I was angry at the world. It was just a bad place. So the only thing we could do to fix it was to sell. Well, there was other things, but the one that seemed like the best solution was to sell the house and start over. So the next step after acknowledge reality is embrace the suck. And these are all the chapters in the book. Salem was in the Navy, and he has this term, embrace the suck, because it's going to suck. And selling my house sucked, but so was living in debt. And so in your life, you choose, I'm going to have a miserable time either way, but this one's going to lead me to a good time. This one's going to keep me miserable. And so I'm embracing the suck. It's the same thing you go when you're in addiction. It's going to suck to go to these classes. It's going to suck to have the pain and the withdrawals. It's going to suck to have my whole life flipped upside down. Yeah, but it sucks now. So it's a different kind of suck, right? It's a suck that eventually will lead to a non-sucky time. So you embrace the suck, and then you make a plan. And so we had a plan. We met with a real estate agent. We got the house on the market. We figured out how to do things. We found a place to rent and start over that was half the cost of what we were spending in our home. And then you make it happen. That's the fourth plan, is to make the fourth part of the thing is to make it happen. And by surrounding myself with people who would encourage me and support me, we actually paid a dude to come in and look at our finances and tell us every month, hey, it looks like you guys still need to rein this in. We had transparency with another human who could look at our spending and go, geez, is that how you really want to spend your money? And that kind of inviting people into your world is what allows you to keep pushing through with the changes you want.
Yeah. And I think that I touch on it sometimes, that the objectivity, like you have your own opinion about what's happening or how things are, and let's call it finances. And you've deemed maybe some things as like imperative goods, like needs, and they're not necessarily needs.
Right.
So, but that's just like one instance. You'll have several, if not hundreds, of different financial opinions, decisions, and those are all subjective. They come packed with your ideas of your lifestyle and everything else. And so in a situation of finance, like what you and your wife had done is that you took in another set of eyes that's objective and told you, like, no, you don't need X, Y, and Z. And that hurts a lot of people, right? Some people take it as an attack. And that's just another reason why they don't ever get accountable, is because the clarity from gaining an objective perspective is rarely taken, because it hurts. It hurts sometimes to say, hey, guess what, man? You're in a position where you don't need Netflix. Get rid of it. And it's like, whoa, hey, I really like it. It's like, yeah, I heard that you really like it. Doesn't matter. Don't need it, do you? So it's like that kind of approach. And again, willfully, you brought that person. I imagine you hired them. Am I right? Like,
I paid
you said, hey, I want you to go do this.
Yeah, it cost me $250.
What's that?
It was $250 every time for him to come and tell me stop spending so much money. I'm like, well, you cost $250, But I needed that. I needed some guy who would say, dude, come on, look at your money. This is not right. And a lot of times we say we can't do something. I mentioned that earlier. That's one of the things that leads us to the point of saying nobody cares. But you can do it, because when you're out of a job, you all of a sudden realize how much you can get by on. There would be times where I would say, well, I really don't like my job, but I want to go take another job. But no one's going to pay me what I make here. I'm salary whooped. And for me to be able to leave and go from a job that pays me $200,000 a year to go to pay one that pays $130,000, I can't do that. Yes, you can. Because when in the future I lost that job and I didn't get paid for a whole year, we somehow got by. So if I could get by for a whole year at no money, I certainly could get by for multiple years at $130,000. But you didn't want it because you say, I can't. And then you self-restrict yourself. And those are lies.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm behind that, brother. Because this is, maybe sharing a little bit about my story. I was homeless. I was in different men's programs. I mean, at the time when I was homeless, all of my belongings, you had to have them in a clear garbage bag. And that was so they could see in there that you didn't have anything you shouldn't have or whatever. And so every night I would tie it up to this bunk bed, and I was on the top bunk because a lot of people couldn't get up the bunk or whatever. So I would tie my clear garbage bag. This is all of my belongings. And so I carry that with me. And I made it through, clearly, like I got here. And so, but I carry that portion, and it's like anytime I think to myself, oh, I can't make that happen, or if I think about that in a financial sense, it's like, yeah, I can definitely endure whatever it might be. And, like in my program, I talk about how I managed to quadruple my income in 4 years, but I don't count all the years that I made zero. Like you were saying, like there was, if you put that into the equation, it kind of screws up the math, but like,
That's real.
like, 4 times 0, still 0. So it's like, but it was a real part of my life. It was a real part of my life. And so with these narratives are what did you call it? Did you call it salary? What did you call it?
Salary whooped.
Salary whooped. Yeah. Salary whooped. I mean, it is a very common thing. And I really commend you guys to like relinquish a home. That's a major part of many people's
identity,
like life checklist, right? Identity. I mean, hell, it's the American dream. Maybe not currently, but it was. You get a house and you get kids and you put kids in the house. And that's what you do.
Right.
And so to relinquish that, uncheck that box off of your lives as a married couple willingly, and say we're gonna redo this thing. Man, what an act of courage. Am I right? Like that's really, really cool.
It was hard. It definitely was hard. Right. And we always say that when the pain of where you are is worse than the pain of where you're going to go, you will change. And the pain of where we are was so bad that the pain of having to sell our house and humiliate ourselves in front of all our friends and business people and family, it was really humbling. But I was sick of being strapped with debt and waking up every day thinking if I work my butt off all day, I'm still screwed. I just didn't like living as a prisoner of my own lie. And so when we finally got to that place where I said, that's it, and the book tells about the whole story, but I was done. I couldn't do it one day longer. I give up. I'm in. And I owned it. Everything else then became powerful, and I could change everything else. So once we got out of debt, I looked at myself. I'm like, man, I'm so fat. I was 265, and I just feel so unhealthy. And I thought, I should lose weight. So why don't I quit drinking? Because that's where all the booze and the snacks go together quite well. Why don't I just quit drinking and cut out all the snacks, and maybe I could lose enough weight to go back to the gym? And I started owning that. And then we weren't getting along very good because of all those years of debt. So we started going to counseling. Very hard to go to counseling. That's emotional. That's another thing. But once I realized I could take the power to change the worst thing in my life, I found the power to change everything in my life. So it's a catalyst effect. In nature, they call it a trophic cascade, where the one thing, has a ripple effect throughout all nature and makes everything better. You see that in Yellowstone, where they move the elk out by bringing wolves back to Yellowstone, and it changed the entire story. Look it up on YouTube. It's the wolves of Yellowstone and how the trophic cascade. But for us, it was getting out of
trophic cascade. I love that trophic cascade.
That ripple effect throughout nature also applies to our lives. When you give up alcohol and you say, I'm no longer going to let it ruin my life, you then get clarity of head. You're not avoiding people. You feel confident. You don't feel like a loser. And that ripple effect pours out to confidence in how you show up at work, how you show up in relationships, how you treat God and your relationship with him. Everything got better. Not overnight. It was work, like counseling was work.
Right.
Everything is effort. But we went through the same process. No blame, no excuse, no say I can't, no wait and hope. Get it done, make a plan, embrace the suck, work the plan, and find success. And I'm still working through that in so many areas of my life. It's an ongoing process.
Yeah, and clearly what I can tell and what I see is a ton of momentum.
Yeah.
Like now you rinse and repeat. It's like, okay, we sold the house, we started from scratch, we rebuilt, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to rinse and repeat this process with my health. And now, does that still suck? Yes, hence embrace the suck. And it always will when you're trying to solve hard problems. It's always going to suck. It's always going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
But man, what a glorious thing that you have such a momentum. And now it's just you're knocking one thing down after another. And so you did quit drinking. So like, and you saw like, not that I'm, clearly my audiences might resonate with them, but you saw it as a hurdle to getting your health back together. Right. And so, man, so you quit drinking, you got yourself out of debt. Real quick though, like, were you a Dave Ramsey guy? Or
yeah, Dave Ramsey principles were the ones that the guy who came and coached us taught us.
Yeah. I mean, Dave Ramsey, he's been doing it 30 years. And just so everybody know, like, I think I could sum up the whole program and just, don't buy things you can't afford. Like, that's it. But the guy is the best. He is the resource for getting out of debt. And he's been just saying the same damn thing for 30 years. However, it's very clear we all need to hear it, right? Like, it's super important.
I think we knew that before. Nobody's ignorant to these concepts. What happens though is that when you believe one lie, it debilitates your power over the other lies. And so my lie was I can never get out of debt, so I can't have a better marriage, and I can't have better health, and I can't. So I lived a crappy version of everything in those situations. But once I conquered that one area and I realized, wait, I have the power to change all these things, it gave me the confidence and the will to change the marriage, to change the finances, to change the health. All those things, the ripple effect from that trophic cascade of getting out of debt continues to ripple out in my life today.
Man, I love it. It's so powerful. All right, so your wealth and then your health and then your relationship and your spirituality, it's like those are all the things that we need. That's all as humans. This is what we're in search of, is a balance of these things. And you clearly have got it. You've got it nailed down, man. I wanted to. But I mean, yeah, I'm with you on that. When I say nailed down, I mean, at least you're headed in the right direction, and you've got one kick-ass framework that seems to be applied not just by yourself but by others too, and not just by others but people that are CEOs. I mean, these are people in charge, and they're implementing this framework. And so, well, how did you like I know my audience, and so, but how did your audience end up being CEOs? Were you just mostly in corporate America?
Most of my whole career, I was in marketing and sales. I learned about the idea of peer groups in 2012, and it really is a way for me to fulfill my personal purpose in life, which is to help people remove the obstacles that keep them from being their best. So to have a job where I get to do my purpose in life is just beautiful. And I've been doing it for 11 years now, and I love it. Man, well, what an inspiration. That is such an inspiration, brother. Thank you.
What do you have coming? Now, we've heard about the book, right? And then so I think, everybody wants to know, like, what's the best way to work with you, or what do you have coming in the future? What's on the horizon for you? And, where can we find it? And I suppose if you got that locked down.
Yeah, the book is available online. You can buy it through Amazon and Barnes & Nobles and all those places, or I prefer you buy it through me at nobodycaresbook.com, because then I'll send you a bookmark and a sticker, and you can tag somewhere, put it on your car or something like that. But we want to be able to encourage you to take the satisfaction assessment. That's key. And if you don't do that, then you miss a big part of it. You can go to our website, nobodycaresbook.com. You can take the satisfaction assessment. It doesn't cost you anything. And then start your journey. Really look at your life and say, what do you want to do, and what are you willing to do about it? Get with other people. Get in groups. Find other people who will support you in your journey. You cannot be accountable alone. It doesn't work. So find somebody who will listen to your story and care about you and let you be real, and then continue to do that. We're creating workshops. We had 2 of them so far this year. They're here in the DFW area, but I would take the workshop anywhere in the world where somebody wants to bring together a company or a community or an organization and have us come work through the concepts of accountability. We'd love to do that. For your particular podcast, I created a domain where people can get a free copy of my book. I'll mail out 2 copies to the first people who send me the code word Ryan, and send me that to my nobodycarespod.com. I will have you fill out the code word Ryan. I'll mail you a copy of my book at no cost.
Man, well, that's a pretty sweet deal, man.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Yeah, that is one hell of a consolation prize for everybody. You know, when they're watching, it's going to be so fantastic. And because I haven't read the book, but just going over the frame, I'm a big fan of frameworks, man, and I can see when they just make sense and they're simple. Like, and so that's what we have here, and it's like that's gold, man. That's gold, and people like. It's applicable and people can walk away and put it to use like now, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not something that you got to work on for a year to start seeing some real change in your life in a positive way. Well, hey, Robert, listen, man, I super appreciate you coming on here, getting out of the heat and having a great conversation with me and my people here on The Next Fix. Hey man, thank you so much.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
Nice. All right, guys. We'll see you on the next